Good evening. I'd like to call the May 20th, 2025 meeting of the North Bend City Council to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Jocelyn,
Present.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood,
Present.
Councilmember Alan Godhelp,
Present.
Councilmember Heather Cullen,
Present.
Councilmember Christina Rustic,
Present.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson,
Here.
and Councilmember Errol Tremolata.
Here.
All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will you be kind enough to lead us in the flag salute?
To the flag of which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here tonight with us. We will now move on to our consent agenda. We have 4 items on our consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Gotthelf, and we're off and running. Seconded by Mr. Brendan Elwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is unanimous, carries. Before we move on to audience participation, as indicated on tonight's agenda, if you're attending remotely and would like to submit public comment, please submit your written comments via in-person drop-off, mail, fax, or email to clerks@northbendwa.gov by 5 p.m. of the day of the meeting. We are no longer taking public comments for those attending remotely via Zoom unless they have reached out to the city clerk in advance of the meeting or to request accommodation. We will now move on to audience participation since we will no longer be taking public comment after every item on the main agenda. Now would be the time to come forward to the podium to comment on an agenda item or any other item you wish to speak about. If you are here to speak regarding AB 25-048, resolution adopting 6-year TIP 2026 to 2031, please hold your comments until the public hearing later this evening during the meeting. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak through the virtual platform, please raise your hand and we'll take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Particularly if it's an agenda item, and limit your comments again to 3 minutes. Phil, Aaron, anybody?
No one online tonight?
All quiet? Okay. All right, we're gonna give it a quick second here. Okay, we'll now move on to commission and committee reports. Brendan, we'll start with you. Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, Your Honor. Excuse me. The CED, Community and Economic Development Committee, met this afternoon in the adjournment room to my left over there. We had a pretty stacked agenda today, nothing like TBW, but we still had our work cut out for us. We discussed a resolution authorizing reduction and waiving permit fee waivers, discuss an ordinance about impact fee code amendments for middle income housing, discuss another ordinance for design standard amendments for conformance with the RCWs, discuss another ordinance on form-based code cleanup and amendments associated with comp plan update. We also discussed a resolution related to the comprehensive plan, and we discussed the shoreline access and trail plan strategic, I guess, study, if you will, which staff was able to get another $10,000 in grant money for. So I think that was everything that we discussed. Our next meeting will be June 17th at 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Alan, Finance and Administration, please.
Thank you. It just must be one of those weeks where a lot of work. We had a long finance meeting. We met on May 13th from 4 to 5. I think we ended up going over a little of that in the adjournment room. The first item on there was surplus of property disposition. Rousing discussion on that. Credit card use policy we discussed. Made some changes there. Fiscal advisory services, draft RFQ was discussed. Code of ethics for city officials, which will be coming before you. I'm sure you're all interested in hearing that. Talked about the May 27th council workshop, the long-term economic development and financial stability presentation. Again, that's going to be a very packed and important work study that everybody needs to be part of long-term. We talked about the proposal for levy lid lift and finding a professional firm to help us out, Lund Fawcett. And then an impact fee update where we discussed to align ourselves with new state laws in realigning the way that we charge our impact fees for condominiums, townhomes, and apartments as opposed to multifamily homes. And the impact will be less money for impact fees from the multi-family homes moving forward. So hopefully you'll get some of that information going forward. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, but can you hold for just a moment and add to that East Side Fire and Rescue, please?
Perfect. Make that easy. And they're here tonight, so that they could probably do some of it themselves. So we had some really great recognitions. We promotions and recognitions. It was one of those nights where, because we didn't have the awards banquet, that we recognized employees. In fact, one of the gentlemen here tonight that's going to be presenting tonight was a recipient of the award. He actually was out on part-time and actually saved an individual, got out and helped out with the rescue on his part-time and got recognized for that. So might want to thank him when he comes up here for his
Amazing.
work. We did have our committee readout was Fire Chief Ad Hoc Committee was a readout on that. Continuing to look and put together everything to hire a new fire chief. Unfortunately, the fire chief here today is resigning at the end of the year. We have tried to keep him and convince him to stay, but he's just not taking it. That's it. And then the long-term policy committee discussed how to change governance. One of the issues that we discussed is we as Eastside Fire and Rescue cannot take out a lease. So we're going to have to work around that. One workaround is asking one of our members to take on the lease payments or lease as a bond and then having Eastside Fire and Rescue pay them back. And then this was a staff report, updated board policy, and the staff report, allocation, revenue, and surplus expense reports. And then the chief's briefing, during the chief's briefing, we talked about, which some of the people here at, about Senator Ramos's death and what was going to go on at his memorial last Sunday. We had another retirement announcement. I'm not sure I like this going forward, but our Deputy Director Administrator Pam Bryson has given her resignation notice. So we'll be looking for something, and that's going to be a big loss for the organization. Hiring updates, increased following recent resignation of firefighters. We have accepted lateral positions with Pierce County Fire Agency. As a result, we expect to hire approximately 10 to 12 firefighters. These will be filled with recently established eligibility lists that we have. We are in the midst of also for another retirement prior recruitment for a deputy chief. Attracted 18 applicants, and the goal is to have official start date by July 1. PFAS funding, recently capital budget was released. We were pleased to report that our legislative advocacy efforts were successful. The legislature appropriated $7 million to the Department of Ecology for PFAS remediation, with $2 million specifically designated for remedial investigation and cleanup activities in Lower Issaquah, and that would be the Eastside Fire Rescue Facility and some parks and areas for Eastside or for Issaquah. They did, as usual, one of their wonderful visits with NORCOM. I encourage you guys to find anything you can out about NORCOM. NORCOM's one of the best facilities for the 911. And the Eastside Fire and Rescue crew catered up to 20 NORCOM staff. So thank them for doing that work. And let's see, we're happy to report the benefit service charge was approved for Woodinville and Duval, 80% from Woodinville and 70%. That's pretty good. And one of the things that was talked about is U.S. Senator Josh Hawley and Senator Andy Dim are leading a Senate subcommittee, and they're talking about the costs of or increased costs of fire apparatus and whether there's some kind of collusion with the three manufacturers, and they're looking into that. On May 1st, they hosted a table talk exercise at Eastside Fire and Rescue focused on urban interface wireline fighting battalion chiefs from Eastside, Kirkland, Seattle, Bothell, and Puget Sound, and Department of Natural Resources representatives participated to enhance their readiness for wildfire season. The exercise covered evacuation procedures, interagency coordination, resource requests, water supply logistics, air acid usage, and wildland incident command practices. The training was led by Eastside Battalion Chief Seth Merritt, Jordan Simmons, and Ben Hudson. EFR received a grant, which was from the Medic One, about $8,593 grant to purchase Stokes baskets and transport wheels. So those are the things that they use for wildland or rescue up mountains and stuff like that. For anybody interested, they are going to be having a picnic Saturday, August 16th from noon to 4 p.m. It's once a year they have this host, and it will be a Remington farm. That's all there for you tonight.
Thank you, Ellen. You mentioned a gentleman that recently got an award and he's here tonight. Can I recognize him at all and thank him?
Yes,
What is this gentleman's name?
stand up and
Jeremy.
there he is.
You're fabulous. We love you. Thank you. Way to go. Thank you, Alan.
In fact, he's been very instrumental in helping us
Yes.
on the items and talk about fees. So hopefully he'll be up talking to us about that.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. Chris, we're going to go on to you and we're going to have public health and safety. And then I'm going to add to that our work study. If you don't mind. Okay.
Yes, thank
Take it
you.
away.
So the Public Health and Safety Committee met on May 6th in the adjournment room, where we received a fire update, most of which was covered by my colleague here, Councilman Legoff. We had a police update where we reviewed, there was an increase in calls in the month of April. 15 of those were related to e-bikes, so we spent some time discussing those. That led into a conversation about e-bikes and the ordinances for both the city of North Bend and the city of Snoqualmie, and a need to differentiate between e-bikes and e-motorcycles, and then further conversation about fine-tuning ordinances to be more descriptive. So I do anticipate at some point in the future there being some recommendations that'll come to council, but not at this time. So that was public health and safety. And then moving on to the work study on April 22nd here in council chambers, 7 o'clock, where we had two significant topics. We talked about the PJO Northwest Development Agreement for Mountain View Townhomes, which is on tonight's agenda. And then we spent a considerable amount of time talking about the police services contract, and then broke into executive session and adjourned. And that's all I have. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Chris. Heather, Transportation, Public Works, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We last met on April 22nd here in the adjournment room. We had a packed full agenda as usual. We had a discussion regarding Panettone's request for the city to vacate public right-of-way, a private development. We discussed resolution authorizing contract with Westerland for Tanner Trail sidewalk connection. We also discussed a resolution awarding contract to Northwest Construction for the Meadowbrook Improvement Project, sewer, water, and transportation. We talked about a motion authorizing construction management contract with Gray and Osborne for the Meadowbrook improvements, again, sewer, water, and transportation. We talked about a first review of the city's 2026-2031 six-year transportation improvement plan, which we're going to discuss tonight. And we had a resolution awarding construction contract to Masana Construction for North Bend Way Bridge decks number 3 and 4 repairs. Moving on, we had a motion authorizing construction management contract parametrics for North Bend Way Bridge deck number 3 repairs. And finally, we had a motion authorizing construction management contract to parametrics, which was led into the other thing. And that is what we discussed. Our next meeting is on May 27th at 4:00.
Thank you, Heather. Mike McCarty, Planning, Parks and Economic Development Commission, please, reports.
Yeah, thank you, Bear. Start with the Planning Commission. They met on May 7th and held a public hearing and made a recommendation of approval on amendments to the city's park impact fees, transportation impact fees, and bicycle and pedestrian mitigation fees. Those amendments are to scale those fees for residential uses according to the size of the unit, and that's consistent with recently updated state law passed through Senate Bill 5258. At that meeting, the Planning Commission also held a public hearing and made a recommendation of approval on amendments to the city's residential design standards and commercial design standards and guidelines. Those amendments are to address conformance to another new state law passed through House Bill 1293 pertaining to simplifying design standards, including removing ambiguous provisions or provisions that could reduce the potential density below that authorized by the underlying zone. The Planning Commission will next meet tomorrow evening, May 21st, for a public hearing and possible recommendation on draft amendments to the city's form-based code. Those amendments are similarly intended to simplify the form-based code standards and address conformance to that same state law passed through House Bill 1293 concerning limitations on design standards. The Parks Commission next. They met on April 30th jointly with the Economic Development Commission to discuss scoping, schedule, and the public outreach plan for the city's planned bicycle mobility plan. The commissions also conducted a joint visioning exercise to craft a vision statement for the plan and voted on a prospective name for the plan to be revealed soon. Economic Development Commission next. So in addition to the joint meetings with the Parks Commission, the Economic Development Commission met on April 24th, where they received an update about the bike mobility plan and discussed ideas for the Port of Seattle Partnership Grant. At the upcoming EDC meeting on May 22nd, the commissioners will review the name and the vision statement for the bike mobility plan, review project ideas for the Port of Seattle Partnership Grant, and receive an overview of downtown revitalization project from Craig Glazier.
Thank you, Mike. On to regional committees. Are there any council that would like to provide those reports tonight? Okay, Mr. Errol Tremolata.
SCA Public Issues Committee met on May 14th. Two items of note. We had a presentation from the Solid Waste Division of King County, and they discussed a forward-looking levy increase, which is not adopted by King County Council as of yet, but it will be. Proposed rate increase for 2026 is being driven partly by projected increases in capital expenditures in the near term and debt service that the county will accumulate in the out years. The 2026 rate proposal would increase average curbside rate by 71 cents per month, though this varies by jurisdiction and can size. So tipping fee is proposed to increase by 8%, and this is currently going toward the council for review and discussion. The second item that was discussed and presented to us was from King County Emergency Medical Services Director regarding a Medic One EMS levy renewal. And quick summary on what that might be if you don't know. It's a current 6-year levy that expires December 31st, 2025. And anytime you call 911 for a medical emergency, you're using the Medic One EMS system. It serves 2.3 million people throughout King County and provides life-saving services on an average every 2 minutes. In 2024, the Medic One system responded to over 255,000 calls in King County. In 2023, the survival rate of cardiac arrest was 51% throughout the region. Because of this strong program, cardiac arrest patients are 2 to 3 times more likely to survive compared to other regions. And in short, this is going to council. This has been adopted by the executive, going to council for approval. The levy rate will be 25 cents. Annual cost to the homeowner in King County should average around $211, and it will run for another 6 years, 2026 through 2031, and will be shooting to be on the general election ballot for November 2025.
Thank you, Errol. Any other regional committee reports to share? Oh, Susan.
The Regional Law, Safety and Justice Committee, which is with SCA, didn't meet last month, but we will be meeting this month on May 29th.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will now recess the meeting for an executive session to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I. The executive session is expected to last 20 minutes, and recording of the meeting will pause at this time. The meeting will resume and when we return to council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Item number 5, AB 25-046, public hearing and resolution adopting 6-year transportation improvement plan 2026 to 2031. Mr. DeBerg, would you be kind enough to provide the report? Easy for me to say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Your Honor and
Thank
Council.
you.
So the 6-year TIP is a state requirement. It's codified in RCW 35.77.010. We have to update it each and every year. So this is this year's version. So tonight we're just opening the public hearing for it. So it will be continued to the next meeting. The state law requires that we adopt this program by July 1st of every year. So starting at tonight, hopefully approve it next meeting. So the benefits of the TIP is it's a management tool for city council and city staff. Provides valuable information to committees, commissions, citizens, developers, and businesses interested in the development of the city. It assists in leveraging available resources through improved timing of projects and improved coordination of city projects with those of private and other public entities. It helps to protect the city's current infrastructure and to plan for new infrastructure. And many grant sources require that projects be adopted in the city's TIP prior to grant application. Those bullet points are all listed in the agenda bill for you if you need to review them. So our plan, we choose to go beyond the statutory 6 years just for planning purposes. It helps us better align the projects if some projects are better off combined or separated, helps us kind of plan that ahead of time. So that's why you'll see projects beyond the 2031 timeframe in this one. On the second page of the agenda bill is a list of substantially completed projects, and that does include some projects that are either under construction currently or will be constructed this year. That's necessary because the TIP is a forward-looking document. This particular one is covering the years of 2026 through 2031. There is also a list of active transportation projects that are somewhere in the process of design or construction. There's 10 of them listed in the agenda bill. And the significant changes from last year's are completing construction of several projects in 2025, which were subsequently removed from this 6-year TIP. Project T055, the Cedar Falls Way Pedestrian Improvements Project, moved up the list from number 17 priority last year to number 4 priority this year. Project T034, the Park and Main intersection improvements, moved up the priority list from number 12 last year to number 8 this year. And we added the 2026 Sidewalk Gaps project to the list. We don't have the locations exactly identified yet, but we'll be looking at that later this year. So we did talk about this at the April 22nd, 2025 Transportation and Public Works Committee. And I believe that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Mr. DeBerg. Any council questions for Mr. DeBerg? Okay, that's amazing. We're going to move on to the public hearing. Here we go. Public hearing on the resolution adopting the 6-year TIP 2026 through 2031 is now open. If any members of the audience would like to comment during the public hearing, we'd invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand through the virtual platform and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And I see, George, you're ready to come.
Yep.
Welcome.
George Anderson, 1360 Southwest 13th Place, North Bend. Glad I remembered that. Yeah, one comment on the plan. I think it's really good, but one thing which I've said during Citizens Academy and to pretty much anybody that would listen, I think it's unfortunate that there is no clear way to have a bicycle, non-car transportation from Tenant Trailhead to the SVT or anything else. Bendigo Boulevard, which I have to correct myself because I always call it Bendigo, but that's neither here nor there. It's just not really the safest road to ride a bicycle, walk, or anything else. The bridge over the South Fork, the sidewalk there is extremely short. And then there's that one small area that's marked as a bike path that only goes for about 100 feet and stops for no apparent reason. So just as we're thinking about it, it just seems unfortunate that nothing's being done there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Anybody else from the public wish to comment? Anybody online, Aaron?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, gonna give it a quick sec here. Okay, well, the public hearing will remain open until June 17th, 2025, City Council meeting. Councilmember Colin, will you please make the motion?
Sure. Motion to approve AB 25-046, a resolution adopting the 6-year Transportation Improvement Plan 2026 to 2031 as a first reading and continuing the public hearing until June 17th, 2025, City Council meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Nope. Well, try it again. Susan? Okay. We'll make that a match second for Susan Torgerson. Okay. Councilmember Cohen, would you comment on your motion?
I think I love the TIP projects. They're all very exciting. They're all very needed. It's interesting trying to jockey to be which ones should have more priority over others because they're all really needed, but it's a time thing, a money thing, but they're really great projects. Thank you.
Thank you. And Susan Torgerson, do you have anything you'd like to add to your motion?
Sure. It's very well thought out, and I'm glad that they have the flexibility to move some of the projects up based on need and citizens' inquiry. I'm really happy about the Cedar Falls being moved up since we've had issues there, no sidewalks and no lights. And, we actually had a death there and also someone who was significantly hurt. So I think I'm really happy that we've moved that one up, and hopefully we can prevent anything else from happening. So I'm happy with the whole thing.
Excellent. Any other council comments? Errol.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dawn and the team. I appreciate the fact that you guys look beyond the requirement for planning purposes, because as we just heard regarding Tenant Trailhead, at one point, who would have thought maybe there would be a park over there? And now this is kind of a living, breathing town as we meander trails and work on it. And I think that's pretty critical as we plan this out. So echo Councilmember Collins and Torgerson's thoughts. This is great. This is truly sort of tax dollars at work where people get to see their money progress through the city. So great job, and appreciate the planning.
Excellent. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. The motion before us is to approve AB 25-046, a resolution adopting the 6-year Transportation Improvement Plan 2026 to 2031 as a first reading and continuing the public hearing until June the 17th, 2025 City Council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, everybody. That motion passes unanimously. We're going to move on to item number 6, AB 25-047, ordinance amending taxes, rates, and fees schedule, and MD/MC 15.31.050 regarding fire permit fees. Mr. Mercer, would you please provide the staff report?
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
The item before you this evening is a request to update the City of North Bend's fire permits and fire permit fee structure to harmonize them among other jurisdictions within East Side Fire and Rescue's district. North Bend is a partner city to East Side Fire and Rescue, otherwise known as EFR. EFR provides fire permit review and inspection services for North Bend, as well as its other partner cities throughout East King County. Currently, fire inspection fees differ by name, cost among their partner cities, which causes confusion amongst residents, contractors, and businesses. In addition, the current EFR fee schedule does not reflect that actual time, effort, and cost that EFR provides to review and inspect permits. Furthermore, during the city's recent fire permit audit, it was discovered that our permit fees had not been adjusted since 2015. To remedy this confusion and address the cost disparity amongst partner cities and implement a cost recovery fee model, EFR has begun a process of standardizing permit fees across all of its partner cities. The item before council this evening is a revised and standardized fire permit fee schedule that EFR has requested the City of North Bend to codify. This would replace all of the existing fire code permit fees currently codified under 15.31.050. This item was reviewed by the Council F&A and CED committees on April 8th and 15th. Both committees recommended full council approval. EFR has developed a presentation for this item that provides an overview and the methodology used for generating the new fees and permit naming convention. I'll now turn over the floor to Eastside Fire and Rescue Fire Marshal Jeremy Hicks for their presentation.
Thank you, Colin. Welcome, Jeremy, again.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, citizens. I'm going to run through a quick presentation here. It was the presentation I provided to the A and to the CED committee, but I wanted to reiterate some points here that I learned through those committees to make sure you got all the information. So for the record, my name is Jeremy Hicks, Fire Marshal, Eastside Fire and Rescue, South Division. The first slide here is depicting all of the different service jurisdictions that we provide service to, which I'm sure most of you know, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that we have quite a few different jurisdictions. And also, just for your information, this is in your packet. I marked it as page 37, so hopefully that will get you close to the ordinance and the fee schedule. And then I printed out slide decks here for you. I think we went. Nope, we're right on task here. So the objectives of this study, when we conducted a fee analysis for the different permit fees, we came up with kind of three main goals. One was to align the fees with the actual costs. For the fire permit, the plan review, and the inspection, they should accurately reflect in a true cost of what the service that we're providing at 100% cost recovery. We did this through an analysis, figured out what the total cost recovery is, or total cost compensation for the work that's being put in there. Next, we wanted to standardize these across the jurisdictions. Standardizing the fee ensures transparency, consistency, and predictability of fire inspection services. And this does it throughout the East Side Fire and Rescue jurisdiction, which many of you probably know that the contractors that work in North Bend also work in Issaquah and also work in Sammamish and all over the East Side. And this also supports growth responsibility. As cities expand and new development directly increases, demand for the fire review, the plan, all the fire marshal services increase. And this is even further depicted with some of the new Senate bill and House bills that are coming out that are reflecting permit timelines. This ensures long-term sustainability of the fire marshal office with the development growth funding the fire marshal growth. Next slide, please. Through this, we looked at some challenges. One was customer transparency. Fee structure and fee levels were not consistent across the East Side agencies. We also wanted to standardize with this the partner and contract agencies because the inconsistency, not only the fee structure, but the levels and then the different types of permits that were being issued by the jurisdiction weren't being captured. This fully funds the work that's actually being completed. And then, as I discussed earlier, as the laws and regulations around fire safety become more complex, this takes increased staff time to conduct the plan reviews and the inspections. Next slide, please. So here I put an illustration of some of the different jurisdictions that we have that we're working with right now. And this is specific to an NFPA 13D fire sprinkler system, or also known as a residential fire sprinkler system. These are required in residences that have no fire hydrants, not very good access. If they have hydrants, the fire flow doesn't meet. So these sprinklers are a little more common. It's the base model fire sprinkler system that goes in the house. And this just shows where we're at right now with aligning our fees. So Mercer Island, Carnation, Woodinville, Duval, we're done with the fee alignment, and we're working with North Bend, Issaquah, and Sammamish at this time. Next slide, please. So as one of the topics of the different committees, one of the suggestions was, hey, can you show me some different examples of what this would be and what we're doing? So right here, this depicts a single family residence with sprinkler system. It shows the fire plan review fee and the sprinkler system, or the fire sprinkler system permit fee. We do 2 reviews. Typically, we do one on a residence when it comes in for construction documents, and we look at the access, the fire flow, the size of the house, the location, all these different things. Then if they require a fire sprinkler system, which is depicted on this slide, then there's a subsequent fire system permit that is issued with it. Right now, the collection's about $600. The proposal is to get the total cost compensation, which would be about $1,236 for the hours of work that we put into that. And that's fully loaded. That's the review hours and the inspection hours put together. And then you can see the difference there. Below, I just defined on this slide only what a fire plan review is versus a fire sprinkler permit. And then I also showed what the building review fee and the building permit fee would be in comparison. Next slide, please. This is a multifamily building. This is one of your buildings in this town. That's a 10-unit complex with about roughly a $1.4 million construction valuation. And it shows right now that we're collecting right around $2,300, where the actual cost for the service that we're doing should be around $4,047. Now, it should be important to note here that we're still doing the work. We don't get to $2,300 and stop. We're still conducting all of the reviews and all of the inspections. The point of this exercise is to bring the alignment of the fees to what the work's actually being done. Next slide, please. And this is a more complex commercial structure within your jurisdiction with a $1.7 million valuation. I selected this, and I won't use the term worst case scenario, but this had a lot of complex systems in it. Not only did it require a commercial fire sprinkler, it required a fire alarm system required by code, and then the underground to supply the water system or the sprinkler system. In this case, you can see previously we were collecting $130 for an underground. That by far in all of the fire permits that we issue is the most labor intensive project that we do, not only for the review time, but the inspection time. These are systems that are being tied into your municipal system that have all sorts of regulations around them. So you can see the cost difference there. But again, we're capturing the time that we're actually spending on it. We do this through all the analytics we collect. We do 7 different jurisdictions. We collect the analytics on how many permits we issue, what type of systems they are, how many hours we spend on the review, and how many hours we spend on the inspections. That's the analytics that we use in this case. Next slide, please. So where we're at today, we're requesting that you adopt the ordinance that's in your packet. We provided this to the F&A committee. The corrections have been placed in the slide for the questions that were asked. Same with the CED committee. And we're here in front of you today on May 20th, requesting final adoption. And
Thank you, Jeremy. Any clarifying questions or any questions to Jeremy here? Okay, Susan.
I was wondering on the current fees that we have now, when were they in place? And like, I'm wondering how long we've had these exact fees.
That's a great question. So I don't know how long back the fees were in place. I could tell you the last time the fees were looked at were 2015.
Okay.
And there may have been some minor adjustments in there, but again, this was a fee study that we did. It wasn't like, hey, let's add a new CPI to it, or let's add this. This was, what is the work? How much does it cost to do the work? This is what the permit should be.
Thank you.
Mark Jocelyn.
Yes, thanks for coming before us. I presume that the other partners in EFR and the contracts are similarly being petitioned, if you will, to approve this. And if you any insight on, it looks as though by the fee structures, it's been through a few other cities, and then I see Mercer Island, who's going to have to take the residents there will actually save money, but presumably that has to go through their city council as well.
So that's a great question. Yes, we're in talks with all the cities at the bottom of the list we've already worked through. They've adopted our fee structure. Issaquah, Sammamish, we're in those talks right now. A little bit, North Bend's a little bit ahead of those talks, but there's a lot of jurisdictions to do right now. And then the question about Mercer Island, that fee, they have an administrative fee, which the cities need to collect some money for processing the permit in their computer systems in their staff time. So Mercer Island has that difference in there is what would be considered an administrative fee that they've added to it. The other cities, when we published the slides, we didn't have what that number was. So we put the base level in there for you.
Thank you. Any other clarifying questions, Chris?
I appreciate you coming and walking us through this. My question just is looking at the current, you would expect some escalators if 2015 was the original time it was last looked at. Are there any code changes or technology changes that also may have driven increased time to process some of these?
Yeah, man, I wish I had that magic ball to figure out where we're going with this, but great question. There's a lot of things that evolve throughout code. In 2015, we were Colin probably is on board with this, but we were still doing paper reviews. Now we're doing computer reviews using Bluebeam. All of that technology costs money to do, to buy those subscriptions and use them. And then again, the other complication is review times. And then the sophistication of the systems that are coming out now require more in-depth inspections and more in-depth plan reviews to make sure that the systems are installed properly. And really, to go down a little bit of a tangent here, the systems that work in the buildings, the plan review process and the initial acceptance testing is the most important part of that building. If it's not reviewed right and it's not accepted right, the building will continue to have issues, and all that does is cost money to the owner of the building. So we're really trying to make sure we do it right the first time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Errol?
Got a couple. Just because we've talked about this in the past, these are the five, you mentioned the 5 partner cities. How do the fees structured for the non-partner cities? Are they following a similar structure, or how does their arrangement work that differs?
So the fee structure we're presenting to you folks is the fee structure we're trying to standardize with partner and contract.
Oh,
cities. Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, Eastside's providing the service, happily providing the service,
Right.
But there's that confusion sometimes between jurisdictions, and not only between the jurisdictions, then it trickles down to the reviewers trying to do the plan review fees, the inspectors trying to do the fees, your permit text, and then ultimately the citizen that goes, I built a house here and now I'm over here, and the contractor. So,
and then also, obviously you pointed out 2015 was the last time it was reviewed. Now that we've kind of done this and reviewed it, what do you think is like best practice going forward? Is it going to be like an every 5-year review, 10 years? Like how good do we think this is going to last?
my recommendation is an annual review. We collect the analytics now, of course, coming on board with North Bend. And now starting this process, we'll get those analytics over a year. For lack of better terms, the computer that we built, the Excel, makes it really easy to figure out total cost compensation and then adjust the hours for each one. So if new technology comes out where we're able to decrease plan review hours, we could put in the new plan review hours and it will change the whole calculation.
Okay. And then if you get a second, can you forward me the slide for the mustache maintenance? Because I'm not anywhere near as impressive as what you got, but I'm trying.
I'm just hoping the chief heard that back there. So
Anyone else from council I might have missed in this flurry of commentating? Well, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate all your presentation for us and
Thank
all
you.
that you do. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Elwood, Councilmember Elwood, would you please make the motion?
Thank you. No, it's okay. Thank you. Motion to approve AB 25-047, an ordinance amending NBMC Chapter 15.31 relating to building and construction fees, amending the city's taxes, rates, and fee schedules as a first and final reading.
Second.
I can't even ask anymore. They're jumping on it. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Elwood, for the motion and seconded by Mr. Gottelf. Mr. Elwood, would you like to comment to your motion?
I think Mr. Mercer and Mr. Hicks, is that correct? Thank you. I've remembered. Did a fine job with the introduction and the presentation, and I appreciate the thorough research that you did and all the work that you're putting forward to roll this out to all the communities. Makes sense to me, truing costs up, as well as providing greater transparency and consistency and predictability for folks makes sense. So I do hope this passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gottelf down there.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Fire Marshal Hicks for his work coming to the Finance Committee and then coming before us tonight. This is a case of, growth paying for growth. We need more fire inspectors as growth goes on. And this is important to keep our costs low and at the level of where growth pays for growth. So I do recommend it does pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from council have anything they would like to add? Oh, Susan.
It appears that we've been undercharging for quite some time. We haven't looked at this since 2015. And we've had new codes and there's a lot more work. So I think it's definitely, we need to pass this.
Great. Anybody else wish to comment? Errol.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, I appreciate the fact that this is sort of an ongoing best practice going forward. So some of these numbers, depending on what your project is, maybe that looks like a huge increase, but going forward, they'll be smaller and smaller because we'll be getting tighter and tighter. And so it makes a lot of sense. And I would support it.
And I think we got everybody. Mark, anybody? Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-047, an ordinance amending NBMC Chapter 15.31 relating to building and construction fees and amending the city's taxes, rates, and fees schedule as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everybody. That passes unanimously. Moving right along to item number 7, AB 25-048, a resolution approving development agreement with PJONW Development LLC. Ms. Burrell, will you please provide the staff report for us tonight? And thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. There's 3 slides that just to summarize the project again. This isn't your first time seeing it. So PJO Northwest Development, the developer, has been pursuing this development agreement since September 2024, and it's to develop a just over 4-acre site directly adjacent to North Bend Cemetery, Todd's Towing, and Meadows Mobile Home Park. So just a little bit east of here, the parcel is zoned neighborhood mixed use, NMU, and the proposal is for 9,500 square feet of retail, commercial on the frontage of North Penn Way, and up to 56 townhome units in the back. It is a 400-foot depth site, and they are seeking to split the mixture of residential uses. The code right now only allows residential on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So that is what is triggering a development agreement. Within the development agreement, we have a requirement that the commercial construction is required to start before the second half of the residential permits are issued to incentivize and require the commercial construction happen. Next slide. So a few of the project benefits are listed here. Just to highlight, it's in the tax increment finance zone. We've estimated impact fees to, at current rate. Also, the frontage improvements along Southeast North Bend Way would be consistent with our complete streets plan. The project would provide 2 trail connections to the north that once that property to the north develops in the future, it would connect to the Snoqualmie Valley Trail. And a portion of the site is currently leased to Todd's Towing for vehicle storage, and this would clean up that and hopefully have a good environmental benefit there. On the third slide, so we, staff has put together a response from your April 22nd work study, and hopefully you've had a chance to review that. We have staff here to help answer any questions. 2 of those were, the 2 primary ones were, what is the long-term revenue forecast for the development versus other potential commercial uses that are allowed? And as shown in the packet on page 59, we have estimated tax revenue for other similar uses that we do see adjacent to the site now or other potential uses, and it is greater for this project. The second question was, what is the projected cost to serve the development? And as shown on page 60, we would need to generate between 35 and 40 jobs to be neutral. And the number of jobs is hard to predict right now. It depends on the uses within that commercial space. So the developer, Phil O'Sullivan, is here to have his 3 minutes allowance to provide another summary and a few points that he'd like to, and then everybody's here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening. It's good to see you all again. Phil O'Sullivan with the Mountain View Development and PGO Northwest Development. Since September of 2024, we've been engaged with the council and staff on this development agreement. Over the course of 3 CED meetings, Planning Commission and staff reviews, which both resulted in unanimous recommendations for approval, a council work study session, and conversation with council members, we've been receptive to your feedback, incorporated your changes, resulting in the proposal before you here tonight. Your input and process shaped this agreement. It contains strong protections for the city to ensure that we perform on the project as described, and we've taken feedback to decrease the residential units to accommodate more retail. We've shown up to this process in good faith. We've been responsive, flexible, and we remain so today. The project was designed based on what you've put in the comprehensive plan in the NMU zone, with the exception of the request to integrate these uses horizontally as opposed to vertically. This development stands to help North Bend take steps forward toward community development in a measured way that's been designed to integrate thoughtfully with your city and serve all site users in the best way possible. We've been paying attention to your ongoing conversations and plans around important issues of this city, including financial sustainability, affordable housing, increasing sales tax revenue, and completing your streets. While no one development is going to accomplish everything across the board for the city, Mountain View does take steps forward for North Bend on all of these issues. The site, as it stands now, is underdeveloped, and we've heard your concerns about a lack of commercial use there. 2 commercial uses for this site have been attempted and failed recently. There's also a low inventory of middle-income homes and few active developments. This development stands to address both of those issues. The economic impacts, as Jamie just shared, of this development outperform many current uses in the NMU zone or any alternatives for this particular site by 4 to 10 times over the course of 10 years. And the jobs created in the frontage retail actually stand to make the expenses to serve the development net neutral. It ranges between 4 to 8 jobs per 1,000 feet of retail, depending on the uses by the time the development's done. The benefits have been listed many times. Quickly again, 56 of 319 target units listed in your comprehensive plan middle housing stock would be brought to North Bend, a substantially increased value in the tax increment finance zone, $3.1 million in impact fees estimated, provide future trail connections, serve as a catalyst for future development, including potentially neighboring parcels like Todd's Towing. This approval opens up conversations to continue improving North Bend Way. The Mountain View development takes steps in the immediate future to support the city's long-term needs. I'd like to thank you all for your engagement on this over the last 9 months. I'd like to thank your staff for their diligent work. I'm on hand tonight if you would like to direct any questions my way. Otherwise, I look forward to your vote to approve the Mountain View development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any questions for Mr. Sullivan while he is in the chambers, council? Okay, thank you again. Let's see the motion before us. Well, hold on. Councilmember Elwood, back to you, right? Will you please make the motion?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve AB 25-048, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and administer a development agreement between the City of North Bend and PJO Northwest Development, LLC.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Heather. Motion made by Mr. Elwood and seconded by Heather Cullen. Mr. Elwood, would you like to speak to your motion?
Sure. I will not be supporting the developer agreement. I think that there's a couple elements here. One, developer agreements are handy tools for sure, but when we continue to use developer agreements in little one-off areas, it strategically changes the shape and the face of North Bend and all the work that we've done into it, try to get the commercial growth and so forth that we want. One of the elements with the removing the commercial square footage on the rest of the property with the requirement per the zoning is that, yes, we'll have more housing stock, but that housing stock will actually be more expensive without the commercial below it. My understanding is that the residential above it, above a commercial unit, will actually be more affordable. So I will not be supporting that. I think that the council and staff need to get together, in addition with Planning Commission and so forth, to really work together on what it is that we want to see throughout the North Bend, do our long-term visioning, and then come together on alignment on what we need to see as opposed to just entertaining every development agreement. I appreciate the level of effort that the particular development company has put forward and tried to get this forward, but I will not be passing it at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elwood. Ms. Colin, do you have any comments you'd like to make to your motion?
So I will be supporting this development agreement. I went back and forth on it quite a bit over the last 9 months. But after much talking with James Henderson and knowing that we need newer commercial buildings, and it's right along North Bend Way with plenty of parking, and it will not affect the townhomes, which they are smaller, they are more middle ground. And so it is in a very weird part of North Bend Way between there's cemeteries and Todd's Towing, and it's a strange area, but I think over time it will get better. So I do approve of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Anybody else from council wish to comment? Alan?
Yeah, I will not be supporting either. I do not believe that these will fall into low-cost housing. I believe that just like everything else we've seen, when we've come through here and thought it was going to sell, they're going to go over $1 million. So they're not going to drop into our low-cost housing. I have a concern that we're beginning to add more sprawl out in that area. One of the things we talked about was trying to keep density within the core of the downtown services. I also think that it will change the complete landscape of that area and where the area should be left open. I understand we don't have commercial now, but as we take up more and more commercial, chances that we're not going to have a big enough lots around for things like additional grocery stores that probably need to be placed on that side. And I think it would be disingenuous for us to go ahead and let this happen in this type of area. I think the reason we brought together what we did originally and wanted on the top was to make sure that they became low costing. This is not. They're also, every one of those units are going to have at least a decent view out of their facilitative mount size, so they're gonna go up and have view values to it. I think it's a big mistake, and I think we're giving away commercial territory that at some point will, when the economy changes, be important to maintain this city and not continually out-tax our residents. Thank you.
Mr. Gottelf, anybody else from council have any comment to make? Chris?
Yeah, so this resolution does support the commercial development along North Bend Way and provides provisions for building of middle income housing. We hope that we will see that. I agree. And all these goals are for the city, are part of what our city goals are. And so therefore I support that. And I will be supporting this tonight. However, in December of 2024, this council approved the city's comprehensive plan, which included a number of zoning changes across the city. This development agreement is now a deviation from that comprehensive plan because the property is, and I quote, significant depth. So for that reason, I would ask my council colleagues that if you vote yes on this resolution tonight, that you support me in directing staff to work on a revision to the North Bend Municipal Code performance standards for this zoning neighborhood mixed use. This council will have an opportunity to review that and approve any changes proposed, but then it would not require a development agreement should there be another developer in the future that would like to do something similar. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else I might have missed? Errol?
Yeah, so I probably saw this maybe more than anyone else because I saw it on Planning Commission before I was on council, and then I saw it multiple times at CED, and I pushed back quite a bit on the developer. And so I do appreciate all the work, both from our staff and him, to negotiate that. I do, on this dais, mentioned about a trade-off on the commercial that I wanted to see some commitment, some quote unquote, I believe I used the term skin in the game to deliver that commercial because that was a big concern. So I do see that here that staff worked having a sort of hold your feet to the fire and on the permits, and you can only build so many until you deliver the commercial. So I appreciate that. I don't doubt my colleagues that it may not be incredibly affordable. I think the targets will be there, but at the end of the day, the market will be what the market will be. The only thing I do know is the one way to assure that you don't have affordable housing is to constrain supply. And if you don't build, prices are going up no matter what. So I'm not thrilled with the depth conversation, so I will welcome that conversation from Councilmember Rustic, and I'd like to look at that. I do know from my experience, it is a tricky site. And I do think part of my support for this DA will be the fact that the developer dug in with staff and did the work. It wasn't a fly-by-night agreement. It took a lot of work from everybody involved. And so I appreciate that. And at the end of the day, we have some significant budget conversations ahead of us over the next year, if not sooner. And we have to make decisions that are going to be revenue generating for the city. And I think this is one of them, as well as aligning with our comprehensive plan and our complete streets program. So I will support this this DA at this point.
Thank you, Errol. Anybody else wish to speak to? No, Susan.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for putting together this agreement. You know, our comp plan is not perfect. We work on it all the time, and I appreciate a developer coming in and saying, hey, well, these are some of the things that don't work in this area. And I agree that we should look at our comp plan and make adjustments accordingly. I also recognize the fact that we have some huge budget problems coming down in a couple of years here, and I don't want to turn away someone who's happy to spend some money in our city. So I'm going to be supporting this. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mark. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate everyone's thoughtful input and commentary. I appreciate all the hard work and effort that's gone in to the project by staff and working with the developer. Mr. O'Sullivan, I appreciate your hanging in, and I think I believe that, as you stated, input and process that you've engaged in with staff and council are reflected here. I think it is taking steps forward for North Bend. There's this funny tension, if you will, between how things get built. It's private capital, it's private investment, it's private ownership, and no one is questioning that. We try and, as council, are given this unique responsibility to set guardrails. I think this strikes a balance. I don't know what more we could hope for, or how much harder we could twist arms, and how much longer into the future we might wait, given all that's happening around us in our country these days, for someone else to come forward and willing to engage as you have in building something that I think is a net positive. And so I too will be supporting the development agreement tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-048, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and administer a development agreement between the city of North Bend and PJO Northwest Development LLC. All in favor, let's take the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that sounds like two to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so motion does pass, 5-2, and the nays are Brendan and Alan. To be noted. Thank you, one and all. That was a long journey and a very thoughtful one. So thank you again, Mr. Sullivan, staff, planning commission, and council members for your endeavor for many, many months, like I said. Okay, going on to item 8, AB 25-049, motion 18-month notice of the termination of ILA with Snoqualmie for police services. Mr. Larson, will you be kind enough to provide the staff report?
Thank you, Mayor, council members, members of the public. Upon council approval of this agenda bill and in accordance with our interlocal agreement with Snoqualmie, Mayor Miller will provide the Snoqualmie City Administrator with an 18-month advance notice of termination of the police services agreement, with notice effective May 31, 2025. The agreement will then expire on November 30, 2026. The terms of the interlocal agreement require Snoqualmie to continue to provide police services for 18 months, for which North Bend will compensate Snoqualmie consistent with Section 5C of the interlocal agreement. I stand and staff stands for any questions council may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any final questions from Mr. Larson from council? No. Okay. Okay, so let's go right to, let's see, Councilmember Alan Gottel. Would you like to make that motion for us tonight?
I would love to. Thank you. Motion to approve AB 25-049, authorizing the mayor to provide the 18-month notice of termination of ILA with Snoqualmie for police services.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brendan. So motion made by Mr. Gottelf and second by Brendan Elwood. Mr. Gottelf, would you like to speak to this motion?
I look forward to the changes. We've discussed this thoroughly, and it's been a long process to get to this. And I think this council deliberated above and beyond and came to a logical conclusion based upon the information that we have. So I want to thank the council. I'd like to thank the staff for their hard work, and both agencies for their hard work in this process. So thank you, and look forward to moving to the next process.
Mr. Elwood, do you have any comments you'd like to make for the motion?
Ditto. I look forward to the future. Hope this does pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody from council have anything they'd like to say? All right, so the motion before us is, sorry, where am I? Motion before us is to approve AB 25-049, authorizing the mayor to provide the 18-month notice of termination of the ILA with Snoqualmie for police services. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, one and all. And we'd like to take a 10-minute break for a moment or two, and we'll come back to item 9. Thank you very much. Being everybody, thanks for your time.
Super fun.
Thanks for the little break that we were had.
Let's get all this, activity.
Thank you for being seated. Okay, we're going to jump back at it, people. Item number 9, AB 25-050. Thank you for your quietness. Thank you. Motion authorizing ILA with King County Sheriff's Office for Police Services. Mr. Larson, would you please provide this report for us?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. At its May 6th meeting, council unanimously approved the selection of the King County Sheriff's Office to provide police services to North Bend and authorize the mayor to negotiate an interlocal agreement for same. This agenda bill, if approved, will authorize the mayor to execute and administer an interlocal agreement as contained as an attachment to this agenda bill. Several items within the agreement are highlighted in this agenda bill, and if there are any questions, I've got obviously the great benefit of having Martin Cha also available to help answer any questions. So we stand for any questions at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any questions for, Errol?
Yeah, just kind of high level, because there's so many contract cities with King County. Does this agreement track kind of broadly against all those ILAs? Are they fairly uniform?
Yes.
Sorry. That was a quick answer.
We're not used to those evidently. Okay, anybody else from, thank you, Errol. Anybody else from council? Or any questions for Martin?
I do have a question.
Okay, Susan?
In this process, I imagine that the city and King County come together and they create this, and there may be some things that need to be added or something like that. Is there some sort of communication on that if there's something we need to change on it? I mean, I don't know if there's any sort of negotiation in this or what.
I can try to answer that. The contract that we have in the packet, Councilwoman, is the standard city services contract for the King County Sheriff's Office. So to the extent that there may be changes that you want to that will need to be discussed with the Sheriff's Office. But this is the standard contract they use for all of their contract cities.
Okay, so basically we have time to make a little modification or whatever after we talked about it, if needed. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else from council? No. Councilmember Jocelyn, would you please make the motion? Oh, excuse me.
I'm happy.
Oh,
He's
okay.
I got it. Sorry.
No problem.
Motion to approve AB 25050, authorizing the mayor to execute and administer an interlocal agreement with the King County Sheriff's Office for provision of police services for the city of North Bend in a form and content acceptable to the city attorney.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Jocelyn, would you care to talk to your motion?
Well, we have spent a fair amount of time on this as a group going forward. I look forward to being in relationship with King County Sheriff's Office, that the breadth, depth, and professionalism that they bring to the job they do in providing police services, I think is second to none. And so I'm looking forward to voting in the affirmative on this motion. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Gattel.
I'd echo my fellow council members and Mayor Pro Tem. The other thing I was remiss to say is I will give Mr. Jocelyn his kudos. During this whole process, he's had to ferry this council together and communicate back and forth to help us out with this. So again, I do want to thank you for all the effort and time you've had to do along with our staff and our council, because if anything, this was the hardest decision that you come before this council. And in the 18 years I will have been part of this council, it is the hardest decision. And I have nothing but respect for my colleagues and our staff for the decorum that you guys showed during this process. And I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Gattel. If anybody else from council wish to speak? No. Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-0450, authorizing the mayor to execute and administer interlocal agreement with King County Sheriff's Office for provision of police services for the city of North Bend in a form and content acceptable to the city attorney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This passes unanimously. Thank you, one and all. I just want to add how I appreciate King County Sheriff's Office. Looking forward to working strongly and together with you. I want to say thank you to our Snoqualmie Police Department along the way for the years of service too. So thank you for all the hard effort from our team, council here, from staff. You worked hard. It's taken an awful long time. Our attorney, thank you for her insight, and Bob and Martin as well. Thank you so much. Okay, we're moving on to item number 10, AB 25-051, motion authorizing amendment to interim city administrator employment contract. Let's provide the staff report. I think that's Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And for the record, Lisa Escobar, Administrative Services Director.
Thank you, Lisa.
So in December, there was a contract approved to welcome Bob Larson as our interim city administrator. Within this contract is a provision to amend the contract to extend the time if needed, if it is mutually agreed upon by both parties and it is approved by the majority of the council. During the time that Bob has been here, the staff has benefited greatly from his vast experience, his interpersonal relationships that he builds, and his support for staff, council, business, and community partners. The HR department has been working diligently with GMP to secure a permanent city administrator for the city of North Bend. Final interviews are scheduled on June 5th. If an offer is made, that candidate will need to give notice to their current employer, and at that level, it could be anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks. As you know, there are several critical issues on the table for staff that requires expertise, time, good judgment, and experience. This amendment would extend Bob's contract no more than July 25th or sooner once a city administrator is on board. Again, he has been extremely beneficial for staff to be able to continue working at the high levels that you council expect.
Thank you, Lisa. Any clarifying questions for Lisa from council? All quiet? Okay. Susan?
When did the employment search start for a city administrator?
In January, we went out for RFPs from 3 different agencies. They sent proposals. We reviewed them. When you're looking for starting a search, you would not do it during the holiday season, and usually that begins around mid-January to February is your ultimate time to begin. Once we secured GMP, a contract with GMP, they helped create a timeline which was approved, and we are on track with that timeline.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So we knew earlier in I don't know, October that we needed to fill this position. Why didn't we start then? Do you have a thought on that?
Again, we follow protocol as far as advice from recruiting firms, and that would be not to start searching until after the first of the year.
Okay, and then I guess I'm really confused why it's taking so long. It seems like to me it would be a lot fast. I mean, we actually got Bob for 6 months because we figured we'd have someone within that time frame. So I'm just kind of confused as to why it has taken so long. I mean, it seems like it would be a much faster process. And I think was it a couple of months or like 3 weeks ago, we got an update that said that we'd come down to 5 candidates. And then we're not having interviews until June. So I'm not sure I understand why there's such a delay.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that Agenda Bill 25-051 be moved to the next work study.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Alan Gottel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Point of order.
I guess we could talk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That. My apologies.
It's okay. I think there is a discussion period.
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to step in and discuss? Okay.
I think the discussion is there are a lot of questions, and I understand Susan started some of them, and there are some concerns with this. And we felt that it would be better moved to a work study so we could discuss it openly and get understanding of what's going on and why we're in this position right now. And so I thought that everybody was notified that that was going to happen. I think Mayor Pro Tem Jocelyn was trying to make that motion prior to Susan stepping in. So that's, I don't know, I'll let Mayor Pro Tem Jocelyn add to it.
Mark.
It's a debatable motion. I would encourage people to speak to the motion before us, which is to move this to the next work study, which I am in favor of doing.
Any other comments from council?
Because there are a lot of outstanding questions, so I think that's a great idea.
Okay. So with that, I guess we'll go to the motion, which is motion to move AB, where are we at? Hold on. AB 25-050, am I correct? Yep. Oh, 51, pardon me. Yep, okay. We're gonna move this to the next work study and we're gonna have a vote of right now. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you, one and all. That passes. And do we have any nays?
You should have to
Yep.
ask for it.
I'm gonna ask for any nays. I don't hear any. No, okay. All right, that moves forward. Okay, so with that, we're gonna move on to Mayor, Council, Administrative Concerns and Initiatives. Let's start with Mr. Brendan Elwood.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're getting through a lot of big, heavy stuff. So do want to say thank you to staff for all the work that you do and your patience, especially some of these situations. You have to hold our hands through it maybe a few different times, and it could be any given topic. I'm not just talking about the ones tonight. So I just want to extend some appreciation your way. I also want to extend appreciation to King County Sheriff representatives here yet again, holding the fort down through the evening. So thank you for that. And just a slight note, Comedy of Errors is a Shakespeare play, and it will be being performed at Valley Center Stage at the Salal Grange. This interpretation, we're setting it as a Western. So please come check us out. We open up not this weekend, the weekend after next, May 30th, I believe is when we open. So come check it out and support two nonprofits that are trying to do their best to maintain arts and culture in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Susan.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know. I don't know if anybody knows that FIFA is coming to town next year. And the Chamber of Commerce is having a luncheon next Wednesday, the 28th, also my husband's birthday. And we'll be talking about FIFA World Cup. So if you haven't signed up, you should go. We should learn about how we can try and bring funds into our city and the whole valley by talking with these folks. So I encourage you all to attend.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mark and Errol for running for another term for city council. And North Bend needs engaged citizens such as themselves to make the best decisions for our city. And anybody who runs for office, I give you props because it is now easy job, as you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A couple items that I know my friends and family are looking forward to. June 5th is the first opening of North Bend Farmers Market at Skyview, which is a crowd favorite. I know people have wondered when that's going to start, so that mark the calendars. And then prior to that, on Sunday, June 1st is our local Ignite Dance Company's 15th anniversary recital at Mount Si High School this year. So it's actually super close. A lot of people can buy tickets and check it out. And yours truly will be participating once again in the Dad's Dance on stage, practicing hard. So
Hey, I'm gonna have my camera on that, Errol.
more like executives.
Okay, Mark.
Alan, I appreciate your words. You set the bar high last year in playing this role. There are days I question my choice to seek re-election. But I just want to again acknowledge the council and staff, and particularly Bob Larson, our interim city administrator, who has been on point, insightful, and shepherded this process of the police services contract, which still is moving out in front of us a bit, as we're aware. And I would be lost without his insight and guidance, and similarly Kendra as our counsel. We have incredible staff support, and we're very lucky to do so, or that we do have that. Martin as well. I mean, I could go down the desk over there. I tend to interact more with some of you than others, but it's not lost on me how lucky we are as a city to have such a strong staff support. Thank you all.
Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to, if you weren't aware, on May 7th, the Reclaim opened up or had a ribbon cutting for their new building, and the city of North Bend provides funding, has for quite some time. It used to be Snoqualmie Valley Shelter Services and now Reclaim. So we provide funding. I know the city of Snoqualmie provides funding. And they have been working for years to establish a more permanent location to help those who are unhoused or who are going to potentially be unhoused, and helping them also stay in their home if that's an option. And I just thought it was great to see something that the team there has worked so hard for over the long period of time finally reach that success. So that was a really exciting ribbon cutting. Just wanted to say thank you to the city of North Bend for also being part of that for a long time. So that's it.
Thank you, Alan.
Well, thank you. I want to say happy Memorial Day before. This weekend's coming up, and it sure looks like it may be a nice weekend. So please, while you're out there, be careful. We'll have people out in the streets and the parks. So watch your speeds as you're driving through. I still unfortunately see some people trying to run through some of the things quicker, and as we get pedestrians out there, and that's what this town's made for, is pedestrians and bike riders. So please be careful out there and watch for that. That's all.
Mr. Larson.
Just a couple of items. I hope I don't steal anybody else's thunder like the mayor, but we are very close to having I'll call our third conference room completed. It was done this week, and we're ready to put some names on it and start using it in earnest here. So it'll be well valued. I also want to acknowledge again the staff here seated, obviously, but also the city hall staff, but in particular the public works and parks crews. If you notice, they've been out putting out a lot of doing a lot of work out there, and it's very, very impressive what they do, and do it in such quick order. So I wanted to acknowledge them as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Public Works, you're amazing. Thanks for all you're doing out there. I get a lot of comments from the public. They're excited about the flowers, and that's cool. Thank you to these fine gentlemen next to me for stepping up again. I'm excited to see how the next fours roll into play. For your hardworking men. Thank you. Also, happy Memorial Day. It's coming up quick. Okay, the city is seeking youth applicants between the ages of 16 to 18 for a vacancy on the Parks Commission. Applications, packets, and information regarding the position are also available on the city website. Deadline for submittal is June 20th. Today, work started at Dahlgren Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon, RFB, curb ramp project in the 44100 block of Southeast North Bend Way. There will be intermittent lane closures between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. each day in the eastbound lane through early June. The project is not expected to impact local access to homes and businesses. It's a great project, however, so I'm excited to see this happen. City offices will be closed on Monday, May 26th in observation of Memorial Day. Thank you, one and all. We are going to we're going to recess for another executive session to discuss qualifications of an applicant for public employment pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G. The executive session is expected to last 10 minutes. As there is no action anticipated as a result of the executive session, the videotaping for the meeting will stop at this time. Everybody have a wonderful, safe, long holiday weekend. Thank you.